Okay, Commissioners, I call the meeting to order at 6:03, and as we meet today, we acknowledge that we live in Mi'kma'ki, the traditional land of the Mi'kma'ki people. We are all treaty people and a responsibility to each other and to this land. And this evening, we're fortunate to have a guest with us, Andrea Hisworth, who we think we might be related to each other, who is our municipal advisor. And welcome, Andrea. As I hope everyone has had a chance to review the minutes of our last meeting. And if someone is willing to either go.
Agenda first.
Agenda. Would ladies and gentlemen, have you reviewed the agenda and do you have any additions or deletions? Then may I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll
Thank you,
second.
Gloria. Oh, of course.
Oh, did you get a second?
Oh, yeah, we got a
Gloria
first,
moved and
and
you
you're a
second.
second.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I don't know why they insist upon approving the agenda.
I'm sure there's some arcane reason for it.
And has everyone read the minutes of our last meeting, which would be October the 16th? Are there any amendments or corrections? No? May I have a motion to approve them as submitted?
I'll move that.
I'll
Thank you,
second it.
Tom, and thank you, Randy. Okay, now business arising from our minutes. We're going to discuss the Lido Washroom Accessibility Project, which is a very detailed presentation. Heather, would you mind leading us so that we don't miss any of the details?
Just get to that.
And as we discussed the last time, perhaps we should put a draft motion on the floor so that we know where we're going, and then we can amend it as we choose to do so during the discussion. Would someone read the draft motion? I will read the draft motion. That the village commission proceed with issuing RFPs for public washroom upgrades, a pool lift ramp, and pool accessibility accessories. Quotations to be brought back to the commission for decisions. That the Chester Village Commission authorizes the submission of an application to the Growth and Renewal for Infrastructure Development Program for Lido Pool Accessibility Retrofitting. Further, the commission asks that Chester Municipal Council pass a motion supporting the village's application. So that's where our discussion is centered around.
You need a seconder for that motion?
Well,
That is effectively a motion.
it is a motion, and I am moving it as the chair, and yes,
Okay.
we do need a
I
second.
will second
Thank you,
that.
Randy.
Yeah.
And Heather, it's so detailed, I
Yeah.
hesitate to lead the discussion.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, this was.
It was a big
This was
job, I
a
know.
lot.
Yeah, I went over it 2 or 3 times and I still am not sure
Yeah.
exactly what's
So-
going on there. You go?
Excuse me, so we have a little background,
That's the
the
motion.
village received, some of it I'll just read, but I'll try to explain as we go. The village received a grant last fiscal from the Federal Enabling Accessibility Fund in the amount of $100,000 and deferred it to this year, 24-25, with an additional $65,105 budgeted from the Lido Reserve, that is part of the agreement. For a total budget of $165,105. The Class D estimates received from Atlantic Accessibility totals $823,000, so clearly some choices have to be made for this fiscal, and in general, requests for proposals have not been issued at this time. So as far as the Enabling Accessibility Fund is concerned, I've just got a screen capture there of the project description, which is only about building an accessible ramp to the pool deck and a chairlift into the pool. Those are, of course, the most expensive pieces. So Accessibility Atlantic's report projects a cost of $350,000 just for the ramp to come into down to the pool deck, which would require, actually I've got the little drawings here, which would require taking out one side of the rock wall to put in a ramp. So that,
If I'm clear on that, we're discussing not doing the ramp, but instead doing the lift.
yeah,
It makes much more sense, I would think.
so that's, so
Did
there,
you see that, Tom? It went
Yeah, I'm
pretty
just,
fast.
we're not doing that, is that?
that's, it's 350,000.
Yeah, so,
It's-
okay.
It's
Yeah,
not,
it's not-
Yeah, we're
it's
just
not,
saying. No.
I don't really
Yeah.
see half to that.
However, the grant specifically was for those two
So,
things.
And I have
And we were,
contacted them,
you
so
know.
let me just.
But what-
carry
Oh,
on.
yeah, no, I saw it later, I'm sorry,
Yes.
but we have to
You're
get
reading
them,
ahead.
we have to get them to agree to a revised
Yeah.
plan of some sort, yeah.
So, so they quoted 350,000, I went back to them about a ramp, and they said a stair lift for that distance would be somewhere in the $60,000 to $100,000 range.
Yeah.
And the report projects a cost of
Oh, wow,
$175,000 to install a concrete ramp into the pool itself, further accessible seating, and to purchase 2 pool wheelchairs, which would seem to render the specific project as outlined to the Enabling Accessibility Fund impossible. I've done some further preliminary costing on these 2 areas to investigate alternatives, which is the chart that you've got on attachment 1. So what, after extensive number crunching, what I'm suggesting we do, items 1 and 3, item 1 is the upgrade to the washroom, focusing on the entrance door and the universal washroom itself. Is to make the other 2 washrooms accessible is really not necessary. It's the one person one that we want to
Yeah.
focus on. So that would be to add a designated accessible parking space to the parking lot. And I'm just gonna deviate from this a smidge because I actually was talking with Paul Mulrooney this morning. And apparently, like, there's a spot there that we use for dropping off. There's a little parking area for staff, and then there's a flat one that pulls right up to the gate.
Yeah, I
that
know
we-
that one, yeah.
And he apparently had in the past considered that to be the accessible parking lot and had gotten actually a quote to do a ramp from the foot of that hill in. So that's another option I'd like to investigate.
Yeah.
So creating accessible path to the washroom door, installing a wider entry, improving the interior signage, and upgrades to the universal washroom itself. So I have contacted our Enabling Accessibility Fund contact to ask about shifting focus of the project from the pool to the public washroom and explained to her, you know, I told her about the numbers and why this was necessary. And I got a favorable response that they're opening to consider it pending receipt of an updated project budget. So wherever we land tonight, I can give them a preliminary budget, which is essentially one of the attachments here, and
So they would make the necessary changes if they agree with what we
yeah,
want to change it.
yeah, because they're saying regardless, $100,000 is not like, it's not gonna be more. So
Yeah.
that's fine, as long as it isn't less, and then we
Yeah.
can still get we can still get quite a bit done. So upgrade to the washroom is 1 item. 2, the access from the street level to the Lido pool deck, which is outside of, I think, our scope at this time. I'm suggesting, and this would have to be verified with an engineer, installing a vertical lift off the washroom door landing, or this ramp idea that I just got from Paul. And site modification would be necessary in some respects, and we don't know what that's gonna look like till we can get some quotes. But there is a provincial grant with a deadline coming up in about 2 weeks, the growth and renewal for infrastructure development program. So I was on a call about that last week or the week before. And that can be used for infrastructure projects that are building more accessible communities and could fund 50% of eligible costs and stackable with other funding. So I'm suggesting we apply for that grant to see if we can get funds from that to get the lift down to the pool deck done. access to the pool itself, rather than the ginormous cost of putting in a concrete permanent ramp, we could install a portable lift or a ramp from the deck into the water. And I got a cost from a colleague in somewhere in the valley. Anyway, somebody else with a pool, and she sent me the actual bill of the lift that they bought. And it's not horrendously expensive, and Jeff had actually done a bit of pricing on some other pool accessories. And with several of the ones that I checked, the prices haven't varied a whole lot since he did them in 2022, which is amazing. So it might seem counterintuitive to buy a ramp, like a ramp or a lift into the pool. The lift would definitely be easier to store, although I would think a ramp might be more usable by
I
more
think-
people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I cement ramp in.
But there are
Yeah.
people who might not necessarily be in a wheelchair, but have some mobility difficulty that would appreciate having some tools in the water. If they're mobile enough to get down there, but they still might like to have like a bit of a walker or a ramp to get in, because stairs are
I'm a
hard for a
little
lot of
bit
people.
puzzled about the ramp thing, like,
Mhm.
I don't approve of that ramp
No.
thing, it just takes up too much.
Yeah, that's the
geography.
rule.
It's, we're
Okay.
talking about two, like,
Okay.
there's.
This is another
the-
ramp.
Got it.
Yeah, there's getting from wherever the parking
Yeah,
area
yeah,
is
yeah.
down to the pool deck,
Okay,
because it's straight
okay.
down.
Okay,
Or I should say, and there's getting from the pool deck into the water.
got it.
So the into the water is not as,
The idea of a lift, do we then need someone to operate it, or does the patient themselves get into it and press a
You're
button?
getting into
and-
another
and go
liability thing there, I think.
You'll find out people tend not to want to do lifts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say,
Well, I don't know, yeah.
the
Yeah.
accessibility consultant did say that there's a bit more dignity in a ramp. Because the lift,
Yes.
it's
Mm,
basically, it's a big heavy thing that's parked at the side,
yeah,
and you can kind of roll it away and store it when the.
Yeah, I was thinking more in terms
But
of, you know, how do
it's
these people
basically
then
got a chair
operate
on
the
an
thing, you
arm.
know?
And it's,
Oh, yeah,
the
they
person
kind
has
of
to
like
get
go up
into the
stairways,
chair,
yeah,
and then the arm lowers into the water.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
some
seems a bit,
people,
it
that's
seems
too
a
much.
bit
Seems a bit
complicated,
clumsy,
you know?
doesn't
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It would work if it was all you could do. but-
Ultimately, are we thinking these are swimming lesson participants? Are these weekend only people, lunchtime, is it?
Who are we
You know what I mean?
serving?
Yeah, because if
It should
it's,
be anybody who.
but I mean, in the daytime, you can't
Mhm.
swim.
even for the
Except for the
smaller
lunch hour,
kids, when they're
right?
doing, sorry,
No.
when they're
no.
doing swimming class, it'd be easier for them to walk in. The smaller
Sure.
kids, right?
Oh, I see,
A
yeah.
lot of people can use the ramp.
Yeah,
So,
But
I mean,
you're not-
down in Dominican, where I go,
Yeah,
one pool is ladders, you have to climb down ladders, and the other pool around is a big walking ramp, it is beautiful.
but we can't really do the fancy ramp, it would take
well,
up
not
half the
permanent
pool,
one.
you know?
Sorry, I should have brought pictures of the
Well, I don't know the measurements.
But the cost of it
concrete, yeah, the
also,
concrete one, cause that would be, pouring a ramp from the edge into the water.
That shouldn't be that.
it's in a single ramp or,
That would be just a single one.
you're
It's not
talking
a-
Paul's ramp now, are you? Where are we talking?
Walking
No.
No, into the water.
into the water.
Oh, I see, okay, so,
But
It's
you
just
can
a
get-
ramp deck into the
yes,
water.
okay.
But you can get portable ramps, meaning that you can just pull it out at the end of the season.
Is the angle gonna be shallow
And
enough
it's
for someone in a
basically like
wheelchair?
a metal.
Yeah, there's a
With
degree.
pieces and a
angle.
handrail
1 inch to a
along it,
foot.
so that people can walk down
if
it.
you get a grant Randy for accessibility, there's rules and it has to be a certain.
Oh, I know, because someone in a wheelchair isn't gonna be able to go down a ramp
No,
like
it's all-
that, yeah,
No,
it's all specified
Yeah.
in some way, yeah, okay.
And
All right,
Jeff had
so-
some costs for some wheelchairs and walkers that were PVC, so we don't have to worry about the salt water
Good.
in the pool, which is
Yeah,
another issue with
Yeah,
anything now,
cloth
because
or
of salt
anything,
water. Anywho. So, as of the beginning of November, the Lido Reserve contained 162,243. And the 2024-25 budget contains a planned 30,000 deposit to the Lido Reserve, which is normally made in Q4. So subtracting the number committed to the project by the federal agreement would leave us with 127,140 at the end of this fiscal, excluding any interest accrued.
That's after the 30,000 is
Correct.
done, okay.
So yes, the project agreement with Employment and Social Development Canada specifies that the project period ends January 7th, 2026. And the project report is due within 30 days of that date. So we want to do most of this fiscal, like we budgeted to do the work. But if something has to move into the 26-27 year, it looks like we can.
But we are now gonna be waiting on this application to infrastructure
Well,
funds
that's
or
only
whatever.
for the path from the parking down to the pool deck.
Okay,
So what I'm suggesting is we do either the washroom renovations and stop there, the washroom renovations and getting the ramp into the water and some in-water accessories. But regardless, the piece of getting from the parking down to the pool deck would have to be part of that. That's what that funding would hopefully, should we be successful with that.
if we got it, yeah.
Yeah.
So this isn't gonna necessarily hold up the project while we're waiting to see if we get,
No,
this extra
it'd basically
funding,
be another phase.
yeah, okay.
But it's just a question of, do we feel comfortable going ahead with getting some supports in the water? Or do we wanna wait until we know if we can get the other piece done? So,
So the nice thing about accessibility right now, it is a general priority, and I have found that they move quite quickly and they're very amenable to integrating with other grants and organizational funding, so and of course, the way that you have presented it, Heather, it sounds like the two can stand on their own, although ideally it would be great to have. all
ideally it'd
three.
be great to,
Yeah.
because at first you might think it'd be kind of weird to have a ramp into the water if we didn't have one to get down to the pool.
Yeah.
But it could still be used by
Hmm,
a number of people
Yeah.
that may be
Mm.
more comfortable with that or don't like stairs. Because
Yeah.
right now it's the only way you can get in.
No, it's well thought out, thank you, Heather.
and you're suggesting option 2 is what we pursue.
Yeah, and with a caveat on all of this, that what I really like is just direction to get some RFPs and make sure that what I'm thinking in terms of the financing is actually what we're gonna see.
Yeah,
Doable.
because until we see the actual.
Yeah, no, I
These
understand,
are
yeah.
estimates.
Yeah.
Say what?
They're sort of guesstimates, you want the.
Oh, no, I understand. I'm just saying she gave us 3 options or 4 here.
Yeah.
And she's suggesting that number 2, which is washroom upgrades and access to the pool itself, which we can apparently afford comfortably and still leave us a bit in the reserve. Is that correct?
I think so.
All right.
But if you're in a wheelchair, you can go pee, but you can't, and you can swim when you're there, but you can't get there. Though, am I correct?
Right, that's correct.
Okay,
So right now,
and that may raise some uncomfortable questions. They don't have a plan.
that's why I was saying, it may seem counterintuitive to go ahead and decide that we wanna get some things ready. Or we could reduce some of that or have the ramp and maybe some floaty accessories for mobility assistance in the water.
Well, I think that requesting the RFPs, we still have a step to take before we
Yeah.
make a decision.
Yeah.
And hopefully, in the meantime, Heather will have produced,
Heard back
application
from
for
the
the
other
other.
one, yeah.
and because they do especially if you tell them, you know, the work kind of is integrated and pending, they may well make a decision fairly speedily.
And we also need an answer from the original grantors that says, okay, we'll modify the original.
They'll modify.
So basically I can use that page that I have in your package there, this
Tell us a page.
this
number.
budget page, what page number is that?
So,
It's at, yeah, 12.
Page
Oh,
12.
yeah, I was on 12. Not mark 12. but
Oh.
it's the-
Oh, yes, that one,
Is
yeah,
that little
okay.
chart?
Yeah,
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 that's it, yeah.
this one is up
Yeah.
on the screen
Yeah,
right now.
yeah.
So basically, this first section here, these numbers are just match the numbers that were in the Class D estimate. But the pieces I'm talking about, this first section is washroom. This next section is the bit we can't afford of the getting from the parking down to the pool deck. And then these items are getting into the water and accessories in the water.
Okay, so what do you need from us tonight, Heather?
This draft motion.
Yeah, so this draft motion,
Okay.
as soon as I get down to it again.
Well, we already moved and
Right.
seconded it, we just
Well,
gotta,
we moved
yeah.
second so we can amend it,
Hmm.
this one here.
Okay, so that's, what is
Went
it?
too far.
I would think it is because it's simply asking
Yeah.
for more information
Right.
essentially.
Okay,
Let's get back to it.
And we have to apparently authorize this, application to the new
Yeah.
the new
I
growth and
need a copy
infrastructure
of-
fund or whatever.
I do, for that particular fund, I need a copy of a motion from the commission and also a motion from council. As part of the application.
Is
so.
this motion as worded sufficient for your records?
Yeah, it's a two-part motion,
Yeah.
basically,
It is
so,
a
yeah.
two-piece, so it'd be probably best if it was done separately.
Two separate motions?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay,
Any
So I-
other
I
questions
move-
before we move on?
yeah, I was going to say, I move to amend the original motion to two motions, mover and secondary agreeable.
Yeah, yes, you and me were the mover and
Yes.
seconder.
So now we can consider the first motion that the village commission proceed with issuing RFPs for public washroom upgrades, a pool lift / ramp, and pool accessibility accessories. Quotations to be brought back to the commission for decisions. Discussion? Request for a vote? All in favor? Unanimously approved. Motion number 2, that the Chester Village Commission authorizes the submission of an application to the Growth and Renewal for Infrastructure Development Program for Lido Pool Accessibility Retrofitting. Further, the commission asks that the Chester Municipal Council pass a motion supporting the village's application. Any further discussion?
I just have a question. Is that the money to build the ramp from the
Parking lot.
parking lot? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Further discussion or questions? No? Show of hands, all in favor? Aye, unanimously accepted. Thank you very much, people.
Thank you, everyone.
That was a good job,
Yeah,
Heather.
yeah.
Very complicated.
You managed to say, I did not understand half of what was going on there. What were the check marks for?
That was, I put in a copy, basically, so this is the Class D estimate that we got.
Yeah, yeah,
And those were basically my notes of, we can do this piece. we can do
okay,
this
I
piece,
figured they
let's
were
not
things
do
you
this
thought we
piece.
could do, yeah, yeah,
This is
yeah.
probably something we can do
Yeah.
internally, so I was just trying to figure out.
So they were internal
Yeah.
check
Their
marks,
internal
yeah,
notes
yeah.
in case you wanted to see
Staff
in
check
context
marks.
with all of the rest of it.
Okay, ready to move on. Now, as you all know, Jim Barcos resigned from the fire commission, and so we're now in a position where we need to appoint. Heather has put out applications, and to date, although I believe we have 1 day left before official application closes,
Yes.
we have received one application from Wilson Fitt, who is extremely well qualified. If you want to have a look at his
Resume,
background and
yeah.
so on, I assume everyone has read it, and so I'm going to put the motion on the table, and then we will be open for discussion. There's two questions that we're looking at. Are we willing to discuss this before the close of applications? I will fix that as soon as I finish talking. And then if we do decide to go forward before the close of applications, then we can discuss whether or not Wilson is an appropriate appointee. So I'll read the motion. that the Village of Chester Commission appoint Wilson Fisk to the Chester Fire Services Committee to serve out the remainder of the vacant term to October the 16th, 2026. So we're considering those two aspects of this motion, timing and whether or not we want to wait to close before we appoint. I'd like a second for that motion, please. Thank you, Gloria. And the floor is open for discussion while I discreetly turn the noise off on my phone.
So we're a day early, is that?
Apparently, and
Closest tomorrow.
frankly, I don't see a crowd coming out of the woodwork in the next day or two.
Yeah.
Colin has also indicated that he's all in favor of Wilson.
Yeah.
In fact, may have approached him to fill this spot. And he's one of our people
Yeah, no, I
as
don't.
well.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, so, and just as sort of a little aside, I went to high school with Wilson.
Oh, did you?
At Prince Andrew in Dartmouth.
Oh.
Don't listen to her. She was a Dartmouth High girl, so yeah. Anyway, and he was a straight arrow fellow then. We were all hippies and stuff back then. You know, but- Well, no, I was a nerd, but he was into the cool people and whatnot. But he was the first guy to ever take me sailing.
Oh, really?
His parents had a boat at Armdale and we all skipped school one afternoon. He was allowed to take the boat out and it was the first. Anyway, I found him to be a straight arrow always when back in those days. And I think he has a law degree now and, you know,
Yeah, he's,
and a project,
Clever guy.
he worked on the Blue Nose refit, I think.
well, I
He was-
wouldn't talk about that.
Yeah, I know, but I think they had to call in somebody to straighten that out.
Yes.
Yeah, and he was the guy, you know?
Oopsie.
Yeah, anyway, I'd be terribly, it would be an awful thing if we refuse someone with such skill set. Just to say, oh, we'll wait another day. I just do not see anybody else coming up.
I don't either, just a question, can we do that? Is that proper?
We can, if you'd like, we could amend the motion to just say pending.
Close of,
No other application.
yeah,
There's no other, yeah, I doubt it's gonna happen, but.
So that if somebody amazing walks through the door tomorrow,
That we could have a discussion.
we could, I
Yeah.
could let you all know, we could have another discussion.
So we should put that cover.
So are we willing to amend the motion to say pending no further applications between now and the deadline of, is it November the 27th?
28th.
28th.
Tomorrow.
So close of business November the 28th. Are we willing to, no talking while
no.
amendments are on the floor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are we willing?
Okay, when, no
My
talking,
question-
let.
Okay, Laura then has a question she would like to ask.
May
Well,
ask
I'm
the question
concerned
by-
about talking about people publicly on the Zoom.
I think that's an excellent point.
Oh, well, that's what I was trying to ask Randy when you yelled at me.
I'm not certain, yeah,
No,
this
he
is
made
not
a public-
directly a
he made
personnel thing,
You
is
made
it?
a public application.
It's a
If you were weighing
public
out two
for
people,
another
you know.
committee that is arm's length from
Yeah.
us.
No, I thought that over and it is a very standard procedure, this kind of
Okay.
appointment to discuss it publicly. And I mean, it's going to be very public when he is appointed. So the amendment on the floor is that, because we haven't voted on whether we're appointing him yet. We're about to vote on whether we're willing to accept an amendment to the motion saying pending no further applications received before close of business November the 28th.
I second that.
Thank you, Laura. Any further discussion on the amendment? No? May I have a show of hands? All those who agree? Thank you, and unanimously passed. Now, would we like to have further discussion on the amendment as a whole, whether or not we are going to appoint Wilson Fit to the fire committee? Discussion?
Assume from.
I thought we
motion
just did that.
That's what will happen.
Well, we could say
If-
no.
Nobody, oh,
The motion is, are we or are we not pending so if there's no further applications by the close of business on the 28th, if we vote for this, we are agreed that we're appointing Wilson. If we don't agree to this motion, then we're not agreeing.
yeah, that's what I meant. So we've agreed to the motion, haven't we?
We've
Oh, I'm
agreed to
sorry,
the
yeah.
amendments.
Ah,
Okay.
okay, I was
Okay.
wondering what,
Yeah,
yeah,
no, the amendment is all we have agreed. to.
yeah, okay.
Gotcha, all right.
Okay, all right, the motion is on the floor. I'm gonna call for a vote. All in favor? Aye, unanimously passed. Thank you. Okay, now, for the exciting event of the evening, correspondence, nil.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And now we get to the even more exciting part, reports by the clerk treasurer.
Well, yeah, this is the meat of the matter. Yes.
It's relatively short this time, so that's all right. Okay, activity report, Lido Pool, the exterior wall repair work has been completed. The interior repairs, which is a pilaster crack from the inside, it's been fixed from the outside. The filler valve and wall sanding will take place in the spring. Beautification, the gym block fence repairs to the wooden pickets has been completed. The flower baskets were all taken down in September and the holiday wreaths went up last week, as I'm sure you can all see. And the street decor survey has been parked until after the postal strike. Follow up from last week's meeting, and I had a little more to add to some of this. The letter from the village commission to the fire services committee regarding the decision notification process was sent and acknowledged. The reply to Mr. Cambria is pending. I just haven't had a chance to draft his, but I'll do that tomorrow. The fire station antenna is confirmed to be in use for firefighter communications. The fire chief is unaware of any structural concerns with it at this time. However, I went up there with Paul again today because I didn't know where the damage was, and he was able to show me, and there is some bent metal on one side of the three-sided. It's shored up right now with some wood, but it would need to be looked at, so that is something I will have
No,
to
is
take
that
up
our
with.
responsibility or the
Not
fire
anymore.
committee?
Fire committee.
So I will be taking that to them.
Is it, or is it ours? We own the building.
There is that, but the fire department would pay for any work that would be in their budget.
Well, we did get money. We got $40,000 for that, right?
Where'd it go?
Well, good question.
I think it went to.
It went to
the
their
fire
reserves.
Yeah, I
Yeah, we
think it
just,
was in-
we got the money, but we just didn't fix the.
Little
Don't ask me why we don't do that, but,
yeah.
it should
This
be,
is 2018, so I'd have to track.
Would it be
down.
in their reserves when we transferred the reserves
It
to
should have,
them?
yes, it would have been.
Can
if
you
it went-
clarify
yeah.
that and
I
bring it
think
to the
it was
next meeting?
between one commission, one clerk treasurer and waiting for another one to come. I think it was right.
Okay, I'll check into that and cut
until
with
the-
for insurance reasons, it should be fixed.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
Heather's gonna clarify that and bring it back to us for
Yeah,
the next
and
meeting.
if so, I can get that into their budget for next fiscal.
It's funny that
Clearly,
Cody
if we
didn't
gave
think
them-
there
He
was
doesn't
anything
know.
wrong with it, you know.
Well, yeah,
or-
well, this would have been predated him, I think Everett would have been the chief at that time.
One point, may I?
Yes.
The postal, this Chester post office is not on strike and you can mail within Chester at the Chester post office.
I asked them and they put it back in our, I took it out and they put it back in our post office box. She said, we can say stamp, but we can't take mail.
That's not what they told me today. That's very interesting.
Maybe that's changed.
Or maybe it could be who you talk to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and there is like some of the mailing within the village, most of it's up in that, but there are some rural routes that do need a driver to drop them off that are
Which
part of
wouldn't
the village,
exist,
yeah. which wouldn't exist right
Just
now.
for your own, so Laura, you can mail within the village?
Yeah, you can send me a card and I can send you one back. You take it
Okay.
in, you give it to them.
Okay.
So that's what Tracy told me today, because they're not part of Cup W. And they're up there, the door's open.
Yeah, they're a different union apparently in this post office.
So it's only within the village, but it's not within the rural routes that
No,
go around it?
No,
Nobody
just in the
drives.
village.
Okay.
So where they can stuff it in someone's box, basically.
They told me,
Yeah,
but that's
well,
why I found that.
They didn't
Well,
tell
I think
Maxine that,
Those envelopes was probably outside the village.
yeah. That would-
If they have a box, So if they have a box, but then people have to know to check the boxes because
Which
nobody's
they're not
going.
doing right now.
Everyone
So,
assumes you can't. I was
Yeah,
surprised to hear that.
I walked in today and had a big old chat and you could mail your letter to Santa
Yeah,
and
that's
you get a
surprising.
reply. So,
And then, yeah, they're in there every day, they have
But you
to
gotta
be,
post office
because,
is closed.
but there's nothing they can do, literally,
Lunenburg
you
and
know.
FW too.
Oh,
We should all go visit them.
They're-
Keep them
yeah.
busy.
They're not CUPW, they're some other
They're CAA.
public service union.
No, they're like CAA or something, Union of Postal Masters and Assistants or something.
Yeah, it's a different union anyway.
okay,
Yeah.
so, just a couple of, quick updates on accessibility and equity. Excuse me. Orientation has begun for the Nova Scotia Accessibility Advisory Board's Information and Communication Standard Development Committee. Holy cow,
That's
that's
a
a mouthful,
mouthful,
of
isn't
which I am a
it?
member. So our orientation has been done, the time frame is 18 months.
This-
Um,
Oh, I see, for that committee, yeah, board.
AMAN's held a 2-day municipal equity and anti-racism symposium last week in Wolfville, which I had hoped to go to, but I had car failure, so I could not. But I was able to listen to some of the live stream. I have a meeting with the municipality next week to discuss the village's participation in the Lunenburg County Plan Development, which will follow the same pattern as the accessibility work, where we all come together and they are going to be kept separate, they're not going to be.
What's the bottom part there? Purchasing policy draft amendment.
This is basically a new little section I added of things that we've talked about that need to get done eventually.
Oh, okay.
And if it's actually assigned, I've got the date, I'll put the date and when it's coming back. With this one, it was more something, I think I said it last
That's what you
meeting,
call heads up.
so I don't forget.
Oh, I see, so that we don't have to do anything tonight.
No, no,
Okay.
nothing at all. It's more of a, yes, I'm still working
Yeah,
on
okay.
this,
Yeah,
reminder.
yeah.
Okay, financial report. So the October bank statements have been reconciled and I've got a chart here showing the account balances. Where we, as of October 31st. So the date, the banking account is there. I did not this time attach copies of the statements because I
We
don't
don't
think you guys really
Yeah.
want to see them.
Yeah.
so
We only need
Wasted paper.
It
Yeah.
is really.
It's all here if you want it.
Yeah,
But,
well,
um,
exactly.
EFT capability, so this is a question I do have for you. Given the current Canada Post strike, we're having to make extra efforts to get our suppliers paid, including physical drop-offs, thank you, Maxine, use of the corporate visa where possible, and courier, which we had to do for insurance, that's what it was.
Yeah, some of these things won't wait. They've
Yeah,
got to be
yeah.
done, yeah.
Insurance is one of them. that we
Can't
cut
do
you off.
e-transfer?
Well, that's what we'll say, we don't
That-
have the ability to do that, so that's
No,
actually
they're
what I'm
not
asking
authorized,
for,
yeah.
so. To do electronic fund transfer, which is, online banking like you do for yourself at
Yeah.
home. Could be useful in these circumstances, so I talked to the bank, cause my concern around that was making sure there could still be. Multiple authorizations on any transfer, cause I don't wanna just be doing it myself.
Yeah.
So they can set up the village with 2 signers for EFTs, but they have to be designated. So me and Geraldine, for example, they can actually set it up that all of you can be signers, but over 2, it's $10 a month. So we could either just have it, and one of them has to be me because I'm the contact on the account. So it could be just myself and Geraldine or one of you. Or if you feel more comfortable having all of you able to do it, it'll be $40 a month. To
Two people would be
allow
fine.
that.
Yeah, it's fine.
But when you physically send the e-transfer, they're not gonna know if Geraldine's with you or not.
Yeah,
right?
No, it's all done electronically, so they would
They
send
sent
the,
me an email. And
yeah,
that
and then
was fine.
she has to sign it and you would get it first. And then it would come to me to sign it.
So you can electronically sign, can you? Yeah.
Correct,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I have that on another organization
Mm-hmm.
I work with and it works like a charm.
Very good.
Yeah, we've just been very, like, this is pretty standard in a lot of places. We're just
Yeah,
kind of old school.
we're
with
we're
the
just
checks.
behind the times.
Yeah.
But I think there was always some concern about electronic signatures, but the security around that's very
Yeah,
good.
yeah, no, they've come a long way on
Yeah.
that.
Well, if you go away from checks, at least in my opinion, then the 2 people who are allowed to sign become the bosses. They can do whatever the hell they want.
Well, you
With, I mean,
bring
now
your report
needing,
every month,
you
right?
need two commissioners at least
Yeah.
to sign the checks. So it isn't always the same two.
And I wouldn't always suggest that. that
I
we
guess
do
I don't
this
want it
for
to be the
everything.
general
Yeah.
thing.
I would suggest we still carry on with checks as we normally do now.
Yeah.
But just
But
use this as an available
in a situation
alternative.
like when we go
Yeah.
to strike, or when if we have some suppliers, sometimes it's really difficult to get them something by check. So it'd be more particular circumstances, not day
Save a
to
lot
day.
of postage.
Oh, yeah, I just,
Checks are expensive.
for control purposes,
Yeah,
I
I
guess,
hear you. I know.
if you have two people who are always gonna do this, then they literally run the show at that point in time. They
Mhm.
can sign checks, if you will, electronically, and the rest of us are just baggage at that
Well, then why
point,
don't
you
we
know?
just agree that it will be for, circumstances where, and leave the judgment to Heather.
Oh, yes,
that
I have no
there'll be
problem with
special
that.
circumstances
But just
where-
as a thing about moving into the modern age or whatever, I'm not totally, it's one thing to have a two-man committee doing this sort of thing,
Yeah.
but I have a little bit of a problem with the rest of us being cut
Right,
under the
one
loop.
of, one of the problems though is like if we make it more available, it's more expensive, but also checks nowadays are very expensive, and every time you turn around, postage is going up, so, you
Should
know,
leave
those
it
are
for-
little
yeah.
they're small considerations, but there's something we should think about.
Maxine had,
And that may very well make sense if we, in the fullness of time, I'm not suggesting we do this right now. But if we did decide to wholesale change it over, that would make sense to then have everybody authorized.
So would everybody get a blast of email
No,
when it was
I
time
would
to?
think that you would circulate, the group that I'm in, we have 4 names on it,
Yeah,
and it only requires 2, it's
Yes.
always the executive director,
sure.
and then she just circulates it. So there's 3 people.
So the first couple of people who sign in
Yeah,
are the
so
ones
if
who
if
do
there
it.
was 1 electron transfer, it'd be you, second me, third Tom, fourth Gloria, you know, it's just like constantly circulate.
But, okay, I was just gonna say, on any given moment, something you want to do an EFT for, do all of the allowed members get the blast and
No,
email?
just whoever's turn is up.
Oh, it's by turns.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Which is essentially what we're doing now, you know,
Yeah,
Maxine says, who's out there and who's ever available, we sign. the
Oh, yeah,
check.
yeah, no, I understand. It's just like, I guess I'm old fashioned, but
You
I
are.
just, I do not want to be cut out of the loop as far as spending money,
Yeah.
you know.
And if you're doing 20 payments or 10 payments, which are not unusual, are you gonna get 10 emails? We
Yes,
don't want that to be burdensome either, right?
No,
Because that's.
well, that's why I suggest that we leave it to Heather's judgment, and like, for instance, right now, because the postal strike,
Then
there
it
was one
works,
bill
yeah,
that
I
needed to
agree.
be done.
yeah. Some of
Oh,
them
yeah, I
are
have no
fine
problem with
drop-off
the
checks.
president requirements,
There's a
no.
few that are hard. And just to say too, that if we decided, if you, I should say, decide you'd like to add that capability, we would want to update the signing authority policy and purchasing policy.
Yeah.
To make sure.
I don't think we're quite
The
there yet.
parameters
I
would-
don't get the feeling in the room that we're quite there yet. Anybody feel like, oh, I really want to go forward and go all electronic transfer, or do you think you're comfortable with what we've
I'm not.
discussed?
No, why don't we leave it then that you're the one until the postal strikes?
Yeah, that
I
basically, if we
agree.
keep it to this one specific instance, or this type of instance where the post office is unavailable, then yes, I'm all
Yeah.
in favor of that.
It-
But as a
it-
general
It'll
rule.
be just when the occasion arises where something has to be done quickly for some peculiar reasons. I mean, weird things happen.
I do 30 to 40 for the Lunenburg market every week, and
There
it's
you
really
go.
time consuming.
Yeah,
It really is.
yeah.
And I mean, that, you know, if Heather decides that we are in a situation where this would be germane, she could send like one of her emails, do you people have any, the rest of you have any
Yeah.
problem with this or whatever? And you could say,
we
no,
all
I'm
agree with
okay with
this?
it. Yeah,
No,
yeah.
Yeah, I
But
would-
for now, you,
I
yeah,
would
you
always
two.
say
I
Yeah, let's
have
get
no
through the
problem.
strike.
Yeah,
Just more-
Yeah, yeah, we'll get through the strike. So
Yeah.
I think what we're proposing tonight is that during the postal strike is all we're saying right now.
Or
isn't it?
extraordinaries. or-
Yeah,
Extraordinary
Yeah, or
circumstances.
whatever, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that Heather would automatically send us all an email
I would
anyway,
think,
so,
yeah, I would
why
think.
don't we just put that in, I don't think we need a motion, I think we just all agree that it's appropriate, administrative technique.
We have to put it in our
Things
policy,
happen.
though. I don't think we can do it without a motion this time, can we?
Can we?
Once it's in the policy, then you can just
I would
invoke.
like a motion,
Yeah,
just to,
yeah,
just to, it's
Did
always
you-
nice.
Randy, do you want to propose,
What's that?
since you're the person who has the most concerns about, you propose the motion about how you.
Okay, well, where are we here? You had it sort of laid out.
There's no motion there.
No,
Yeah,
there
I
isn't.
didn't-
Okay.
I did write a draft one that, Geraldine
That's
has on her
me.
sheet, or I can just,
Well, can you tell me the wording then?
I have, that the village commission authorized the addition of Scotiabank electronic fund transfer EFT capability to its accounts payable methods with EFT individual authorization designated to the chair and the clerk treasurer only, and we can add a line about this only
In
being used in
extraordinary
extraordinary
circumstances?
circumstances.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
I
well,
think
so
that
moved.
thank you, Randy. Excellently drafted.
Yeah, I like it. I just ripped it off the top of my head.
Thank you, Gloria. And Gloria
Yes.
seconded that. Heather.
Yes.
Great, thank you.
Any further discussion? No? May I have a show of hands for approval of the motion? Unanimously passed. So,
Okay,
next
then-
one.
The only other item I have on this, so we received the Canada Summer Grants, we actually got back a bit more than we had anticipated, so 4,256. And I believe we had something around 2,500, 2,400 in the budget, so we got a bit more reimbursed than we thought we might.
Nice.
And,
that's
and
good.
just so we know, I've already sent in the application for 2025. And then just follow up on last meeting when we were going through the Q2 budget
Yes.
earnings report.
It was me, I think, that asked about
The
that.
municipality of Chester's Finance Department reports that at 50% through the fiscal year, there is 1,438 in low income and not-for-profit exemptions.
At that halfway point.
That's, yeah, because there's two payments
Yeah,
a year,
that's right,
so
that's
this will likely double or be a little
$3
bit
grand or so. What's in our budget for that?
5,
Yeah.
so we're fine.
No problem there. I was more of it for information.
And that is it from me for the treasurer's report. Thank you.
Fire services, oh, that's the meeting.
Yeah, this is their meeting minutes for information, since we discussed. But you would
I
prefer
was there,
to
so.
to get these, so that's just attached for information.
So.
As far as I know, we
where-
don't have anything new coming from the Accessibility Advisory Committee. Are you?
They're on hiatus till
Yeah.
January, so.
Exactly.
Okay,
nothing there.
And I haven't heard anything from our staff personnel
Hmm.
committee. You haven't either?
No,
Okay.
normally once after the municipal election, it's usually like the second meeting in November that committee appointments get done, so they probably don't know yet
Okay.
who's gonna be on it.
And the Village
Oh,
Planning
yes.
Advisory.
I was unfortunately required to be in Halifax for a medical appointment the day they had the last meeting, so I have
Okay.
nothing to report at this
Okay.
time. I think there's another meeting in early December, provided it actually takes place.
Okay.
But they just said, okay, it's gonna be November the such, and I had this appointment made for
What
a
can
year
you
and I
do?
wasn't gonna do anything, so I have nothing to report at this time.
Okay.
I could get the minutes eventually, but they don't send the minutes until almost the next meeting.
Yeah,
is
it's
when-
very
That's a
irritating,
dumb
isn't
sort
it?
of
Yeah.
thing, yeah. But anyway, I may have something to say at a December meeting if I
I
ever
had
get a.
hoped to attend on your
minutes.
behalf, but we wound up having a special fire meeting the same time. so.
Yeah.
Yeah. I figured you might try, but can only be so many places at once.
Okay, can you give us background before, this is new business, by the way, are we done, with the village planning, Randy? Okay.
Yes, sir, no, yeah, just what I had said last time was in the minutes.
Okay. So we're moving on to 8.0 new business, and the first item is municipal code of conduct. Would you mind giving a little bit of background on that, Heather?
Or you could, no, I'm
Oh,
kidding.
you-
Oh, Andrea's sitting right there.
So you may recall, I sent around, probably a month or two ago,
Yeah.
that the minister had approved the new code of conduct, which had been worked on by quite a coalition. Maybe I will, thank you. That it would be, try that again, that it would be enforced after the election. So then we got, this letter came around from the minister's office that all municipalities and villages in the province have to pass this motion on or before December 19th. And we have to send a copy to the minister's office that we've done so.
Hmm.
There's another piece to this that I didn't put in here right now, but we also have to select an enforcement, what's the?
Yes, an inspector. That was something I wanted to ask about.
So we talked about.
On
actually, we talked-
retainer,
Do you wanna
it
talk
says.
about the inspector, or I
Yeah.
can, just from what I remember? So, if we have a situation, like there's an incident of harassment or something like that, there needs to be an independent investigator. So it can't be somebody that we already have a working relationship with, like it couldn't be our municipal solicitor. It could be another solicitor, it could be a retired police officer, perhaps someone who knows how to do investigations, but that we don't currently have. And we need to appoint that person to be the one to do investigations, should any be required. So we'll have to give some thought to who we would want to ask for that. I don't have a name in mind.
And this
Quite yet.
actually says on retainer, which means we're gonna have to pay this guy to be available at all times and should we require. I mean, maybe the municipality and us could share this, but on retainer to me means he's on salary, basically. You know, he has to be paid X number of dollars a month in order
No,
to,
retainer is a one-shot deal, you don't pay them monthly. Retainer just means, here's $1, and you agree to be that person. Doesn't,
And
there's
we
no
pay
set
you
amount.
hourly if it happens.
Yeah.
it's my understanding of a retainer was like a lawyer, you kept on paying him to take part in any problems that you might have with the law.
Yeah, no,
But
my
if you-
experience of a retainer is it's like a contract, and it could be a nickel, but you agree mutually, and you sign a contract, and the retainer is to put you on notice that if needed, then you would be paid X number of
Well,
dollars.
if the professional would accept that, but I think most professionals would say, well, I need $100 a month to be available
Well,
whenever
then
you
we
need
won't
me.
hire them.
Well, yeah, that's the way it works, I believe.
We don't have a choice anyway, do we?
Well, no, no,
Then-
exactly, but we have to budget for it if it's gonna be an ongoing
So
expense.
Andrea
that's
just
all.
whispered to me that Amans is working on a list of people who are qualified.
There you go.
That, who have been kind of vetted, so we can look and see if there's somebody on there we feel.
So that's not ready yet, Andy, okay.
But it'll be coming soon.
When, clearly, we will have a meeting before this is required again. However, when is there a deadline on, for instance, implementing the inspector or whatever? Or is it's just, we just a deadline to pass the motion and then we implement as we go? Yes? Okay.
The other thing to be aware of too is that there will be mandatory online training for all elected officials in all municipalities and villages. That information is coming in the new year. And the very last page of your package just has a schedule of in-person sessions. If anybody would like to have a better understanding and you would like to go to this training session, I'm gonna go.
I think it'll be online too, that's what it
The
said.
online is mandatory, these ones are in person.
Yeah, but
ones
there is
that
an
are optional.
Yes, you don't have to go to them if you'd rather do the online. one.
And online is mandatory. What about people who are employed?
it's still, no, I believe it'll be a module you can do on your own
Oh,
time.
I see. Like those completely stupid things that they
The
send
security
around.
ones we do,
Oh,
yes.
geez.
I'm 2 months behind on mine.
Oh,
Oops.
God.
yeah.
Oh, I
They're
got mine
so,
done, I
they're
got
so
mine done.
simple,
I
those
usually
things, you
get
have
on
to be
top
a
of
dummy.
Well, they're so American. That's
They're
why
done,
I'm
and I went in and did another one.
But I mean, who in their right mind would actually fall for some of this stuff? Who is at this level?
A lot of people.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
but not us. People at our level are unlikely to fall for it. Anyway,
So if
you gotta
you're,
do what
All
you
right.
gotta
if
do.
you wanna have a look at the last page in your package about the in-person, if anybody's interested in going to the in-person, let me know and I'll get you registered. But
Where is it?
Like one in
They're-
Bridgewater.
Bridgewater.
this
The
Bridgewater
best
one,
question.
and it's in January.
Only
It's a
2 hours.
Thursday, yeah. I'll probably be interested to know.
Yeah, but it's in the middle of
You
winter.
can just follow up
so-
with me
Yeah.
after the meeting. So, yes, we have a big motion.
Okay, I suggest that, we all have a chance to digest this. Is this motion mandatory? We must pass this motion as is phrased?
It must be passed as is on or before December 19th. Now, our next meeting is scheduled for the 18th.
Yeah.
So I did have this penciled in for next month, but because I wasn't sure what was gonna happen with next month, I thought I better get it in here.
Right.
So if you would prefer to have some time to go through all of this and bring the motion back in December, we
What
can do
is the
that too.
feeling? Do you feel like you're being rushed into this? Do you feel that you've got enough time to do the background? It's clearly not optional.
It's not optional, it's the law. You
Yeah.
only have one choice, and
Yeah.
that is either you accept it or
Or
you
you
step down.
Yeah.
So I'd say let's get her
Yeah.
done.
And we've seen this stuff before
Oh,
in
yeah.
various forms.
Yeah.
I've seen it at least twice
Yeah.
before that.
Let's just do it.
It's been a
Yeah.
couple of years. of
Yeah,
work.
yeah, I
Could be a
remember
blizzard
seeing
on
it,
December
yeah.
18th.
Okay, shall I read the motion then? I'm gonna put the motion to the group. Whereas the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing for the province of Nova Scotia has made the Code of Conduct for Municipal Elected Official Regulations, Nova Scotia Regulation 220/2024, open brackets, the regulations, close brackets, and comma. Whereas municipalities are required to adopt the model code of conduct prescribed by the regulations on or before December 19th, 2024, pursuant to section 4(1) close bracket of the regulations and section 23A of the Municipal Government Act, semicolon. Therefore, be it resolved that the Commission of the Village of Chester hereby adopt the model code of conduct as set forth in Schedule A to the regulations, which shall be titled the Code of Conduct for Elected Officials of the Village of Chester. I put that on the table as moved.
I'll second that.
Thank you,
sure.
Randy. Further discussion? Go ahead.
This is the municipal one, so you need the village one, which just has a different section. So your section would be 408 AB.
Uh-huh.
B,
So I just I don't want you to pass the wrong.
Okay, 408 AB.
408 AB.
Thank you. AB.
Oh, yeah, 23A is municipal, yeah.
No,
These
thank
are-
you.
This is the municipal.
I move the amendment to read rather than 23A of the Municipal Government Act to read 408 AB. Randy, you were the seconder. Do you agree with that?
I
amendment?
would second that as well.
Thank you. Further discussion? I put the motion on the table. All those in agreement? Unanimously passed, thank you. Okay, now for the fun part.
No, in camera.
Oh, there's still 2 pieces.
So you've
before we
got
get
the
there.
holiday.
Well, we're gonna do the holiday logistics before we get to the in camera.
So
Oh, holiday
8.2
logistics,
is
yes.
not relevant, so we can cut that.
Yes, that's
Sorry,
a
Laura.
done deal. It might have been.
So
Oh.
here's the motion on the
That was in
table.
case you got elected. I think, or something.
The motion on the table that the village commission's December monthly meeting currently scheduled for December 18th, 2024 be canceled or rescheduled to December the 11th, 2024. A seconder to that motion for discussion? Thank you, Laura. Okay, the floor is open for discussion. The issue is go with December the 18th or reschedule to December the 11th. Discussion.
I think the 11th would be preferable, and I don't think we should do, I don't like when we miss a month, it just feels so long
Yeah,
personally,
yeah.
but.
Yeah, I agree.
Gloria, how do you feel about that?
Doesn't matter to me.
Are you free? You're gonna be home? Oh, yeah, Danielle's coming home.
Tom, do you have a feeling on that one way or another?
I don't think I'll be here anyway.
Okay,
So what
The
date is it?
11th. it's
11th
scheduled
or
to
the
be
18th, and so far
18th is
Randy
the
and Laura
normal.
have expressed preference for the 11th.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 18th would be our normal meeting, Gloria.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, it seems to be, you're not objecting, she's not
I'm
gonna
not
be here
objecting,
anyway,
no,
so.
yeah.
The 11th.
I
Gonna be
would
here
say
before we know it.
consensus is
I know.
Oh,
that.
December.
It's only 2
motion
weeks
is
away.
passed.
It'll be a
Do
short-
That's
you
on
want
just a
to,
Wednesday, yeah.
Is there a lot of
abstain,
stuff on
or
the
are you
plate,
willing
or-
to vote as passed?
Call on.
No, sure.
Okay, unanimously passed for the 11th.
Yeah. that's good.
Thank you. Okay, the next motion, that the village commission office be closed on December 27th, 30th, 31st, 2024, in addition to the statutory holidays on December 25th, 26th, 2024, and January 1st, 2025. I have put that as a motion, seconded.
Is
I don't think-
same
This
amount
is
of days as
standard, yeah,
last
this is
week,
standard,
yeah.
yeah.
26 is not stacked, I don't think, is it?
Yeah, 26
Yeah, it
is
is.
Boxing Day.
Yeah, it's always.
Well, it's not a
yeah.
stat, no,
No,
but
it's
everybody.
fixed, yeah. Okay, Gloria, I believe you seconded
Yes,
that.
I did.
Okay. We always do this because, 1 week of staff holidays is whether they like it or not that week. So clearly, if we're gonna give them a holiday, we
Yeah.
need to close the joint.
So that's the dates minus any weekends and
Yeah,
things
yeah,
that fall.
yeah.
in.
It's a bit odd this year because Christmas lands on a Wednesday.
Yeah, that's very
So
strange.
we'll be at the office Monday, Tuesday, then out Wednesday, Thursday,
Yeah,
Friday,
that doesn't
and then
make
the
any
next Monday,
sense, yeah.
Tuesday.
So you want to start on the
So
Monday?
we're gonna give them a whole week.
So it's still, it
Look-
just wraps
Look
around.
at
It's
the
not a
calendar, Andy.
weekend.
Yeah, no, I wasn't
I gave her a
sure.
calendar.
25th,
We're gonna give them the whole week off.
so starting on the 23rd, is that what you're saying? Or,
Monday.
24th.
We work the 20th.
oh, you are gonna work. The way you said it, it sounded like.
Yeah, I thought you meant. the whole
Yeah,
week off.
so you're gonna be here the Monday and Tuesday, you're off at Christmas all the way through. Is that it?
Back on the 2nd of January.
Back on the second, yeah. Like-
Yeah, yes, I understand.
It just
but-
landed oddly this year, that's all.
So you will be working the 24th then until whatever, 2 o'clock or
That isn't
something?
quite,
Let's
yeah.
say till noon.
or
So
we-
noon,
we
yeah.
work-
Yeah, okay, I just wanted to clarify
Maxine
whether
usually
they
leaves
here on
at
the
1, we
24th.
could just close at 1.
Personally, I would say give them the week off.
Well, I mean, if they wanna take it as
Our
vacation
next
time.
monthly
sure.
meeting.
No, But
Yeah.
the way their contract reads, they have to take a week at Christmas.
Yeah.
Why not give them that week?
Well, because yeah, you're right.
They have to take a week.
Yeah,
That's in
part of
the
the
contract,
is they
yeah.
must take a
yeah.
week at Christmas.
Is a, give them a
Those
week.
3
to-
days anyway,
Nothing's
so
gonna
those
happen.
3 days.
Oh, goodness, no, I'm not really, I just wanted to get in my mind what dates we were talking about. that's all.
Okay.
It's okay, we're good with,
Okay,
as this is.
okay, so we moved and seconded, motions on the table, aye. Passed unanimously. Okay, also, what time to close the office on December 24th? 10 o'clock in the morning.
Not even worth them coming in for that. I think a lot of places,
Why don't
dinner
we all, why
time.
don't
usually.
all we
Yeah.
agree
1 o'clock.
if we're around, we'll all have lunch together and then that'll be the end of the story.
And what day is that?
Oh, that's the 24th.
The 24th,
People aren't-
December.
yeah,
23rd.
Didn't we just say we're giving them the?
or 23rd.
They didn't want,
No, they decided to
No.
stay with the original plan, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'll be.
So they would work the Monday and
24th
the
is hard,
Tuesday.
charge for lunch.
And
But
start
we-
their
Yeah.
holiday on the
We
Wednesday.
do, but not this week.
Yeah, let's do-
We'd have to do it week or
Earlier.
two before.
Okay.
So you're still gonna do the 23rd and 24th in the office?
Mhm.
I figure you should be able to knock off at lunchtime or something.
Yeah,
It's not hardly
me too.
worth your while to come here.
You leave at one anyway.
Yeah, so you should pack her
Yeah,
up.
pack her
Yeah.
in, pack her in, girls.
Alrighty.
Okay, Commissioner Roundtable, if any, we can roundtable quite well here this evening. Any roundtable?
Nothing exciting on my end.
Okay.
What? Nothing to report?
Therefore, yeah, she's been living a very boring life, as we all know.
Getting bussed around by
Okay, moving
Geraldine.
on to 10.0 in camera, I will put the motion on the table that the commission move in camera as per section 408B, open and close 2 of the Municipal Government Act to discuss the potential acquisition, sale, lease, and security of municipal property. May I have a second?
I'll second it. Oh, and Laura.
Laura?
Yeah,
who-
do
one
Laura.
of them.
Gonna share it around, looks good in the minutes.
What? And we are now in camera. Are we now in camera?
We are
I'll
not.
give them a
Stand
chance
by.
to-
Give us a minute to shut down the.
Take it slow, Maxine, don't.
Don't worry
Thank
about
you
it.
so
dear.
much, you
Thank you.
guys.
Was that
Well,
exciting?
thanks for
Stay
coming
blessed.
in.